Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about a subject that has been a huge part of my life for the past almost 8 months, and that is breast pumping. So we're going to talk about exclusively feeding your baby through breast pumping, and this video is going to be about like little tips and tricks from me, my journey, and a little one-on-one about pumping and all that stuff. So hopefully it can be some inspiration for someone who finds themselves in a situation where they can't breastfeed. Maybe they don't want to breastfeed and they want to pump instead. Maybe they're trying to pump and it's just not working out. Are you doing anything wrong? Can you try this instead? Things that I have kind of discovered along the way. And what I want to do first is address the whole thing where I think a lot of people in the breastfeeding community says or thinks that pumping isn't breastfeeding, but it is. I mean, you get the milk out and you feed it to your baby, so yeah, you are breastfeeding when you're pumping. And I think that for me, at least in the beginning, I was feeling a lot of like imposter syndrome around it. I felt like I can't say that I'm breastfeeding because I'm not putting my baby to my breast. I am pumping the milk out and then I'm giving him the bottle. So first I was like, no, I'm not breastfeeding, I'm pumping. But you know what? If you are pumping for your baby, you are breastfeeding. And I just want to say that. I just want to acknowledge everyone out there pumping, everyone who wants to pump, that is also breastfeeding. So kudos to you. However, exclusively feeding your baby through pumping comes with a lot of sacrifice. It comes with commitment. You have to stay on course. I have been pumping in the car, in parking lots. It's the first thing I do every morning, the last thing I do in the evening. You have to pump during the night. I mean, it comes with a lot of focus, dedication, and commitment. You cannot skip too many pumps, because when you do, you signalize to the body that it doesn't need to produce more milk. So I mean, of course you can skip a pump or go a little bit longer for say one day, but you have to stay on course, because every pump will signal to your body that it needs to create more milk. So why am I pumping? Well, I couldn't give birth naturally to my boy. So I ended up getting a unplanned C-section, and I think for most women, when you get a C-section, the milk doesn't really follow along as it does when you give birth naturally. So it took a couple of days for my milk to actually start producing and coming out, and I had so much pain from my C-section. I also had back pain, and every time I would pump in the hospital, I would feel my uterus shrinking. And that is a physiological thing that happens. It happens also when you properly breastfeed your baby. Your uterus starts to shrink and get back to its normal size. And when I did that, it would just hurt so bad, and I would cry. It was just awful. And they also wanted me to try to breastfeed, but the same thing would happen when I did that, and it was just so painful. My boy didn't want to, and so I just decided that, okay, I'm gonna give it a couple days and try when I come home. I think it was the third day in the hospital, I actually gave him a full feed of my own milk. And it was just such an incredible feeling, being able to feed him all these nutritious things that come in the milk. And also, a disclaimer, formula is completely fine to give to your baby. Do not feel forced to breastfeed or pump if you don't want to, if it doesn't resonate with you, if it hurts. You're not a bad mom if you give your baby formula. Formula is just as good. I mean, yeah, sure, science says that breast milk is a little bit better for the immune system. I mean, the body produces nutrients for your specific baby. So yes, the contents are going to be more nutritious than formula, but formula nonetheless is also a really good option. The most important thing is that your baby is being fed and that your baby is full and that your baby is healthy. So never feel like you have to breastfeed if it doesn't work out for you, and never feel shame around that. So we got home from the hospital, I think it was 4 days after giving birth, and I had ordered a pump. I was also going to practice breastfeeding naturally. However, I had so much pain, not only from my C-section, but I had gotten an injury in my hips and my lower back. So I had trouble moving, sitting, like everything hurt. And I would try and breastfeed, but it didn't really work out for me. And I could feel that even though I was consistent, I mean, we practiced, but I also had this intuition of like, no, this is not going to work out. He doesn't want to breastfeed. Also, it was fun giving him the bottle. I mean, he loved the bottle, and it was so convenient because his dad could also help feeding him. So I just decided, okay, I'm going to focus on pumping and getting the milk production going and all that stuff. So I ordered a pump, but I thought I ordered a double pump. It was a single pump. It was electrical though, so I've never tried personally a manual pump. I know of people who love manual pumps and think it's better than electrical, but personally for me, electrical pumps. But since I had this single pump, I would do one side first for 20 minutes and I would sit on the other side for 20 minutes, and I would have to hold the pump because I didn't have the proper tools for hands-free pumping. It would just take so much time. It was agonizing, it was sucking, it was uncomfortable. Like, I didn't like it at all. And when I started noticing that my milk was actually getting produced and I was getting milk out, I felt like I need to focus on getting this right. I need a double pump. So I ordered the Medela Swing Maxi, and Medela also has this bra that you can just put your pumping gear into and it becomes hands-free. I got the pump and started using it, and it was just magical. That is the true hack for pumping. Get a double pump, get the electrical pump, and just you're good to go. After I got my double pump, things just accelerated pretty quickly. I sat for about 20 minutes per pump. I pumped for every 3 or 4 hours and once during the night. And yes, that was exhausting because when we got up during the night to feed the baby, I would feed him. That took me about 20 minutes, changing diapers, feeding, burping, putting him back to bed. And then I would have my pumping to do as well, which was 20 minutes, and then doing all the dishes. So it came with a lot of work. And during the first weeks, I think that we fed him like 50-50, so 50% formula and 50% milk, my milk. But eventually I ended up noticing that, wow, we can feed him only on my milk. So I think he was about 2 to 2.5 months old. We were exclusively feeding him my milk, and that just made me so happy, like feeling that I'm actually able to do this. My body is providing the amount of milk that we need, and it was really amazing. But you have to stay consistent. Like I said earlier, I was pumping in the parking lot, in the car. It was the first thing I did in the morning, last thing I did in the evening, and if we were going somewhere, I had to pump before we left. Right when we came home, I had to get on the pump again. So, it left me exhausted. It really did. And most of the time when we were going out to do something fun, I had to plan everything in detail, like he's going to eat on that time, I need to pump on that time, and then we need like this amount of time to get dressed and get out of the house and everything. So everything has just been going on the schedule for me. So I definitely would say that pumping comes with a lot of commitment, discipline, and focus. So maybe it's not for everyone. I'm a person who loves having a schedule and a routine in my life, and I think that was one of the reasons why I could pull this off, because I've heard a lot of people that said they pumped for like maybe 2 months, 3 months, but then it was just too much for them. And you know, that's totally fine. I mean, you do what you can. But yeah, I was really consistent, and I could also freeze milk. Like, I had so much milk that I have a complete drawer in my freezer right now with milk bags, and that's amazing. So now we're phasing out the pumping, and at first I thought it was really mentally hard to give up the pumping, even though it was, you know, causing so much stress in my life. Now when I've done it for the last week or two, just cutting down on my pumping times, it actually feels really good. I feel like I have my life back, basically. I mean, I don't have to sit on pump every 4 hours, and it's just amazing. So we've been giving him one meal of formula a day for about 2 to 3 weeks, and at first he didn't like it at all, but now he is loving it, and he's healthy and happy still, and his stomach is working, and like everything that I was worrying about, none of it has happened. So, but I mean, every journey is different. Some babies can't tolerate certain formulas, and then you have to just try it out and see what works for you. So now I'm actually pumping every 6 hours or so. I pump once in the morning, once during like lunch, 1 to 2 p.m., and once in the evening before I go to bed. So I've stopped pumping during the night, and I have been able to sleep a full night. I hadn't done that in 7 months, and it was amazing. It is amazing to get your sleep. So yeah, definitely worth it. And yeah, it feels really good to phase it out, and I feel like I'm really proud of what I did for my baby, and being able to give him my milk. And even though he would have been a healthy boy even if I had given him formula, just for me personally, it's like a way for me to be able to give him that when I couldn't breastfeed. Breast pumping comes with a couple benefits. I mean, you see exactly what your baby eats. When you breastfeed naturally, you have no idea how much your baby is drinking. But when you give him the bottle, you know exactly how much to give him. So you can see what makes him full. Maybe he starts needing a little bit more. You just add up. So we always knew how much he was eating. And we also knew approximately when he needed to eat next time. So he has been eating every 3 to 4 hours. So we knew that if we feed him at 7 in the morning, we knew exactly when he was going to eat next time, and next time, and next time. So we could plan our days pretty well after that. When you breastfeed, your baby can be hungry at any time because you don't know how much your baby has had, and you don't know when your baby's going to be hungry again. So also the mother always has to be available. For me, it was really simple. I would have my pumping times, obviously, that I needed to be home during, but then I could leave the apartment. I could leave my baby with his dad, and he could feed him whenever he was hungry. Now, you don't necessarily get that oxytocin hit that you get during the actual breastfeeding and the skin to skin and all of that. I mean, it's a cozy thing. I get it. Many mothers love it. They get calm and happy and just feel really close to their babies when they breastfeed. Obviously, you don't get any oxytocin when you are sitting with your breast pump. It's quite uncomfortable. It's not very nice. You have to sit a little crouched with your back so that the milk can actually drop down into the bottles. And you know, it's really uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. It's not nice. I've never felt like, oh my god, what a nice pump session, you know. However, you can get that cuddle and cozy feeling when you are giving your baby the bottle also. So I wouldn't say that there are any negative aspects of pumping, except that it's two things to do. It's the feeding and the pumping. When you breastfeed, you only feed. Then of course some mothers need to empty the breast afterwards with a pump. So that becomes like a two-step thing also. In general, it's easier because it doesn't take as much time as it does to feed, pump, do the dishes, and all that stuff. Now, I'm not saying that pumping is easier. I'm not saying that breastfeeding is easier, because every journey is different and every person has their own struggle with things. So I'm gonna end with a little bit of a like 101 breastfeeding, breast milk, just my general tips and tricks, and I have them all written down here so I don't forget anything. And this is just my personal experience along with some researching, just things that worked out for me. I'm not partnering with any brand for this video. This is just my experience and what I liked, sharing that with you. So I have the Medela Swing Maxi double pump with the hands-free bra. Our baby loves the pacifiers, the bottles. I love the dishwashing brush.
The pump comes with the electrical device, a tube, and 2 pumping containers. It's really easy to assemble and clean. If you use it regularly, like 5 to 6 times a day, I would recommend replacing the parts every 2 or maximum 3 months, because the pumping gets slower with time. I really also recommend getting the hands-free bra, because you don't have to sit and hold the containers while pumping, and life gets so much easier. Like, you can scroll on your phone or do the dishes, brush your teeth. Like, it's pretty flexible for what you can do.
And storing breast milk, like, the general tip is 3 days in the fridge, 6 months in the freezer, and when you take it out into room temperature, it's 3 or maximum of 4 hours. If you pump regularly like I did and you feed your baby, you will not need to necessarily think about having it in the fridge for 3 days, because you're going to have such a use of the milk that you're just not going to end up having anything in the fridge for 3 days. But if you do have a lot of milk, then I would recommend freezing it, and for that I also use the Medela freezing bags. I always have 3 feedings in the fridge right now, so I know that my baby is always safe. And that also helps if I skip a pump, or if I had to go longer between the pumps, like 5 to 6 hours, I always knew that I had milk for him in the fridge. Never mix a cold milk with room temperature or warm milk, and never heat your breast milk in the microwave, because that destroys the nutrients. And lastly, once your baby has started drinking from your bottle, it needs to be consumed within 1 hour, or else bacteria will start forming, and then you just have to pour it out. Always pump once during the night. Your breast milk is going to be more nutritious during the night, and that's why it's also important to do that, and also to keep your milk flow going. When you breast pump or breastfeed, you need lots of fluids, so drink a lot of water. I also drank a lot of apple juice during the first 2 months. I was addicted to that, and don't ask me why, but yeah, it is what it is. And you also need a little bit of extra calories when you breastfeed. I've read about 500 to 700, but yeah, just get an extra snack or a little bigger portion for lunch if you are breastfeeding, because you need those calories. Also, never set the suction frequency to a degree where it hurts. You're not going to get more milk because you have a stronger frequency of suction. It needs to be comfortable. Also, another great tip is to massage your breasts before you start or at the end of the pump, because there's always a little bit of milk in there that doesn't come out through the suction. There are plenty of videos on this online. Medela has really good information on their website that you can go look at. So just try out a little different techniques, see what works for you. And last but not least, do not stress about your milk. Whenever I found myself panicking that I got a little bit of lower milk supply, I would always find the milk production going down, and never worry about getting more milk from one breast in comparison to the other. That's normal. Maybe one time you get 50 milliliters in one side and you get 100 milliliters on the other. That's completely normal. So don't stress about that. Just do your thing, let it flow. If you don't have enough milk, give your baby formula. No problem. Okay, so those are my breast pumping tips. I hope this video was helpful for you. My baby's waking up now, so I need to wrap this up. If you have any questions for me, just leave them down below and I will get back to you. And also, if you have more tips that you want to share with the viewers, you can also write them in the comment section. So we can all help each other out. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and good luck on your breastfeeding, breast pumping journey. And remember, breast pumping is also breastfeeding. You are just as valid and worthy as any other mother. So just do your thing. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.